So this is typically supposed to be a beginner's guide to start from scratch. So I hope this helps. I myself have tried my hand at technical content in the years that I used to write, but it's always been a big challenge. So I think let's dive right in. We have two speakers with us, Palak and Snehal today, guys. And just to set some context, both of them have their individual projects that they do, but they also work with Pepper Content, which is a platform for creators. Both of them have been writers with Pepper. Snehal's been around for 6 months and Palak's been around for 2 years. And both of them are technical content writers. Snehal comes from a fintech background, which is financial technology, and Palak comes from a deep tech background. She's also, actually, I'm just going to let them do the intros because they have very nice slides prepared to introduce themselves. So passing on the mic to you guys. Stay with us, folks. In the end, we're going to take questions, and please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box as and when you have anything to ask. And yeah, I'm just gonna hand over the stage to Palak and Snehal now. On to you guys.
Thank you, Tanya.
Great. I hope everybody can see Snehal's screen. I can.
So hi everyone, welcome to our session. So today we'll learn about the beginner's guide to writing a tech blog that sells, informs, influences, and gets you more money. I am Palak and I have been writing professionally for almost 4 years, and I have worked with multiple industries such as aerospace and defense, IoT, agri-tech, communications, finance, and vertical farming. For me, tech writing is not just about blogs and white paper stuff. It has helped me a lot in communicating my ideas effectively. Like let it be the presentation today, or explaining a project plan, or giving other presentations, and even working on my social media. And my work in the tech domain and my writing skills have always complemented each other and helped me get where I am.
Hi, I'm Snehal. I also work with Pepper apart from my other projects. I am also a tech writer like Palak. My bigger niche is actually fintech, which is financial technology. I'm not from a tech background. I'm actually from a humanities background. And I'll come to that later about why I'm stressing on that part. So I've always been writing in my life since I was a child. But since the past 8 years, I've been writing professionally, commercially. Yeah, I think I won't go too deep into what I do, and I would like to jump into what we are here to talk about today. Okay, so just to remind you all, we have very less time. There is a lot that we can speak about this. We wish we could actually give you examples of blogs, make you read them, analyze them, etc. But obviously we can't do that right now. But while we are doing the session, we would like you guys to keep your questions ready or drop them in the chat. We'll obviously have a Q&A at the end. It's always great to take notes, so please keep a pen and paper handy. And since this is a beginner session, we need you all to remember that we are mostly going to cover the beginner tips, the most basic ones. Okay, Palak, you wanna?
Yeah, so next slide. So this is the agenda for today. We'll discuss all these things like what you should avoid, what are the differences between all the types of writing, the process of writing the blog. We'll discuss some points of the process in detail. Then we'll also discuss how you can promote through your content and not be salesy. Then we'll also learn a few basic tips regarding editing, and we'll also share about a few common tools that you can use in your daily content. Next slide, Snehal. So now, before we jump on what to do, we need to know that what you should not do. So the first thing is writing fluff and generic content. You should never ever do that. Especially for businesses in tech, they are very, very particular about writing concise and clear information. For every sentence that you write, you must add value. And if the sentence, if any paragraph or sentence does not add value, or if it is repetitive, please eliminate it. Also, most of the time, you'll be working with word limits. And when you write concisely, you might sometimes even fall short of words. Like if it's a 800 word blog, you might, end up at 650 or 750. In most cases, 50 to 100 words below the word count is okay. But fluff, especially in tech content, is not at all acceptable. So next slide. This is one of the most common mistakes that like a lot of people do, writing about things you don't know. So it's very normal that, to write on a topic, you must understand it. And I have, seen that some people write, let's say some people write about programming even after, they don't know a single line of code. So this act sometimes does not do justice to the objective and the readers. And if you are planning to venture into tech content, I would suggest that pick 2 to 3 niche topics and learn about them, so that you understand what are the topics that are given to you. Also, you should keep a track of the developments and the products and new products, the news of those sectors. And let's say you still get an assignment for a complex topic you don't know much about. There is still a way you can get help. We'll discuss on that more in a few minutes. Next slide. So next thing is that you should never take too much time to get to the point. And stay on next slide.
Yeah, I'm trying to just a second.
Okay. Right. So you should never take too long to get to the point. As a tech writer, you will have a different kind of audience that you'll be working with. And the majority of them, they would not have a lot of time to read your build-up of your blog. Like when you're writing stories, creating tension is okay, but when you are writing tech content, it is not. And in fact, several clients that I have worked with, they usually expect us to add some primary and secondary keywords in the first 100 to 150 words itself. This is because it really, really helps them with the SEO. And obviously, in most cases, you will be able to use those keywords initially only when you are writing what the reader has come for. Next is writing long, complex sentences. This is terrible at times. I have seen people writing, 7 to 8 liner paragraphs with just 2 sentences. Like people today, including me, we have very little attention span. And even I cannot follow through a very long complex sentence. Sometimes I have to reread it, but most of your readers won't reread your content. They'll just skim through everything. So it's always better that you keep your sentences short and you express just one idea in one sentence. Also, for your paragraphs, you should keep them between 3 to 5 lines. But yeah, when you're doing technical writing, like research papers, reports, tutorials, things might differ slightly. Next is using fancy and flowery vocabulary. Now, there is a common misconception that writing well means using good vocabulary, especially with the beginners. Now, like literally, some people Google the synonyms for simple words and write them in blogs so that they feel happier about the content, and they feel more confident that this is a good piece of content. But you have to understand that when you write tech content, you have a different set of audience, and your readers are not literature enthusiasts and mostly have a very average vocabulary. So using fancy words might help you increase your confidence, but they your readers might not understand you entirely. And when you use complex words, it does not really make your writing better, but actually makes it harrowing for the readers to understand. So you can always use better alternatives, but never use unfamiliar words, just like I did in the previous sentence. So I use the word harrowing instead of difficult. So please don't do that in your content.
Okay. So now I'm going to talk about another very basic thing, which is what is technical writing, what are tech blogs, and what is B2b tech writing. So I'm just going to explain all three things in short, and then I think the difference should be clear. Uh, Firstly, technical writing. Okay, so technical writing and tech blogs are two very different things. Technical writing includes your medical and scientific papers, user manuals of products, not just tech products. A user manual for a ceiling fan would also be technical writing. Then assembly manuals, which basically tell you how to assemble a certain product or a machine, how to disassemble it. Corporate reports, which are your policy documents, um, company annual general meeting documents, for example, and your legal documents, which are terms and conditions, privacy policies that you find on websites, but we never read them, but we know they are there. So all of these things are technical writing. Now, the thing about technical writing is that there is almost to zero creativity involved here. It is all about facts and information. So it might or might not be your thing, but the point here is to tell you guys to not confuse it with tech blogs. That is our focus today. So I'm first going to talk about tech blogs and websites in the B2C business to consumer domain. So you probably have come across blogs and articles from publications like The Verge, TechCrunch, Wired, CNET. You've probably seen mobile phone reviews, uh, video game previews. These are things that you are going to read whether you are a tech enthusiast or not, right? If you are an enthusiast, you're probably going to read it more in detail because you understand the jargon, etc. But these are things very familiar to all of us uh, in general. So these include your product reviews and reviews. So for example, if there's a new mobile phone launching, there are articles which predict features, price range, and everything. And then there are reviews when the product is finally launched. Usually the very next day, you will see a lot of reviews on the internet, on a lot of different websites. Some news channels who have tech pages also do these things. Then there could be opinion blogs. These are a little more difficult to write than product reviews and reviews because honestly, if you're doing a product review, you can go to 4 other reviews and see what they are saying and make your own thing out of it. But if you're writing opinion blogs, you have to first read a lot more to develop, to be able to have an opinion about whatever your topic is. Then there are informational blogs, which could be anything from, say, how to add GIFs in a Google Doc, to how to use Photoshop for a certain kind of editing format. Um, and then there are websites. So tech websites could be, say, your Samsung website, or a website for a really niche thing like, say, a memory chip. So website writing is quite different from blog writing, in the sense that a blog is just one piece of content. It could be, say, 800 to 1000 words, which is your usual word count for any informational blog. But a website is a much vaster entity. And I personally would suggest that you start with writing blogs and then jump to websites, because they need a little more expertise, not just in terms of tech, but also from you as a writer. Then we come to my favorite part, which is B2b Tech Blogs. So B2B, which is business to business blogs, these are basically tech products, about tech products and softwares that businesses internally use. So for example, if there is a car dealership, they also provide car insurance, right? And they don't provide it themselves. So insurance companies are selling to car dealerships. It's a business to business transaction. So that is what B2B is. B2b communication has to be very formal, very crisp. Every single word that you write has to have a lot of power to sustain in your piece of writing. You Sometimes you can be witty, you can add a little flavor, but that entirely depends on your brand. So you have to keep your creative energies a little aside, and work more on the structuring of the blog, which is also fun, because honestly, writing without the pressure of creativity is a great thing. Just to end this section, you guys can note down, these are, I feel, some of the best B2B tech websites. One is Tesla, obviously. Tesla is B2C as well as B2B. Then there is Dropbox, which is also B2B, B2C, I think. HubSpot is B2B, but you will find a lot of B2C type blogs also there. And then there's Grammarly, which is also both, actually. But you can go to the B2B sections of these websites. Since you're already familiar with these brands, you might want to start with these and then dive deeper into the lesser known ones. Palak?
So coming to the process of writing a blog. Now, this is a simple 5-step process that this is basically what I follow, but this process can vary for person to person. But this is something that has always worked for me. So the first step is defining the intention of the blog. So I think this step is common for everyone, and you should always, before you start writing, you should always ask yourself a few questions. What is the purpose of the blog? Is it to promote a product? Is it to inform the audience about a concept, like a product launch, or maybe some sort of news? And do you want your audience to take any action with that after reading that blog? And for one particular blog, you can have multiple objectives. The second thing is that you must have a complete clarity of your audience. And I want you to note down this formula that I have written. Your intention plus audience will determine your content plus tone. So please note down, intention plus audience is equal to content plus tone. Because like, if you follow this formula, your blog would be on point always. The third step is research, right? You have to do your research. You have to gather your pointers. You have to write down your own opinion. You have to compile the stats, incidents, events, news, or whatever examples or anything. The next, what you do is you create an outline. Now, outline is like mostly optional, but I always prefer that you do that. So now, once you have your pointers and research together, you start organizing these points into sections to create an outline. What you do is you separate these sections, you add different sort of subheadings. You just just number your thoughts or organize them according to the subheaders. Also, in this phase, if your client has asked for an outline, and if I would say if it's a long blog, uh, get the outline approved so that when you write the whole blog, there are no mistakes or nothing is missed out. In this step, you can also find out some keywords and just add them to your blog. The last step is you just have to expand on the outline and just write it into the sentences, and you can also add your keywords after that. Now, next we discuss the research and outlining process in detail. And next slide. So here are a few points that you should always remember. Whatever resources that you use, they must be from popular trustworthy websites like CNET, TechCrunch, McKinsey, IBM. Also, don't use a lot of information from random websites and personal blogs. Always verify numbers from original resources. If there's a number that's mentioned in a blog, you can't blindly trust that. Like I'll in the upcoming slides, I'll tell you what resources, what sources you can trust and which ones you cannot. So also, when you're writing tech content, it's mostly important that you go through the white papers, patents, research papers, case studies that might be boring sometimes, but I would say please do that, because those are the things that will provide you accurate information. Please don't rely on other blogs. On Google, other blogs are also just copied from different blogs, and this is the case with most of the blogs. So if you do deep research, you will have an edge. Also validate your research. Like one, you can do it through reliable resources, or you can check multiple websites and sources. Also logically, if something does not make sense to you, just don't add that.
I think we lost Palak.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you want to maybe okay, we have her back.
She's back. She's
50 seconds.
Yeah. So is my screen freezed, I guess?
No, it's
no,
all
no, it's okay.
Okay. So in some cases, you might not find enough information through simple Google search. And then I have listed a few pointers that will help, that will rescue you. Also, I won't be going very deep into these pointers. This is your homework. So, but it's a great, and also, these things are not very, these are optional, but it's a good advantage if you know them. The first thing is you should explore advanced search on Google. It has excellent filters to help you with the information you need. Uh, Another very important thing is identify what keywords are there and use them correctly. You could get the keywords from your client, or you could do your own research for the keywords. Also, Google shows you millions of search results, and sometimes it's very important to, get the specific information. You have to filter out, specific stuff from all that chaos. So, apart from the advanced search that is available on Google, you can also use some search operators and Boolean operators. Now, it's how to do that. It's just a Google search away. There are some words and symbols that can actually help you find the specific information that you're looking for. Like, you can use some specific keywords, you can get some documents, some researches, some articles. So, it is a combination. You need keywords and you need advanced search and, Boolean operators. Next thing that you can use is you can search for patents. You can just check Google Scholar, Google Trends. You can interview the experts and also use books to help you out. Now coming to what are the sources you can trust and what are the sources you cannot trust. Sources you cannot trust include Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia is a very common source that everyone uses, but please do not do that. It's written by people, and it's not at all reliable. Random blogs, personal websites, again, no. Social media, no. Forums, Quora, please, you cannot trust them. They can, these sources can definitely provide you a direction of how to conduct your research, but you cannot exactly pick up data from here. Some sources that you can trust include some government and public resource websites, some popular companies, white papers, case studies, research papers. Also, there are certain subject matter experts. So if they have a blog of their own, that would be reliable. News websites with a good reputation like Google News, BBC News, CNN, they are all good resources. Also, one more thing you can do is, let's say nothing works and you're not sure, so you can check the like you can check the blog's reliability by checking about the author. You can also go through some parts of the blog and check if there is any bias in that blog. And also you can check when is an article last updated. So also you can just quickly verify that information from other resources. Coming to the next part, creating an outline. Now, creating an outline helps you write faster. It provides you with more precise and accurate content. And in case of long blogs, see, like 800 to 1000 words, we can just directly do that. But if the blogs or articles are longer than that, I would say please go with an outline, and if you want, you can get it validated from the client before writing a full blog. And then there's a pro tip that I want to give you for that. For informative blogs, it's a good practice to add the references you have used in each section. So when you add the when you research that, you might be referring to 5 websites, 10 websites, even 20 or 30 websites. So however you have created the outline, just add the references so that when you get on writing or expanding that outline, it's much easier for you to see what part has to be referred from which website. Also, at some times you can also get those references verified from the client, because mostly the client mm, maybe knows the subject better than you. The client knows what he wants. So even the client can verify those references. uh, yeah, so coming to the next slide, I have created a sample outline for you guys. You can just take a picture of it, or like take a picture. I won't be going into the detail. I have mentioned all the subheaders and pointers in this outline so that it's easy for anyone to skim. And it also helps me analyze that if I have covered a topic entirely, and if a client checks it, it's very easy. He can do the review in just 5-10 minutes. But if you write a full blog, it takes much longer than that. So yeah, this is the part 2 of the outline. You can take a picture for this as well. So are you guys done with taking the pictures?
Hi, could you wait a little bit more? 2 seconds.
Yeah.
My screen is frozen.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Next slide.
Okay. I think Palak has covered a lot of the major parts of how to go about your blog writing process. Now I'm going to talk about why examples, numbers, figures, etc. are important in your blog. So basically, we think that examples and stats, etc., are like the last sprinkling on your dish, without which it's going to be bland. So why examples are important? Examples help the reader visualize what you're talking about, and this goes for any kind of blog, actually, not just a tech blog or a fintech blog. Examples help you visualize, and visualization in this day and age is important because we are all very, very used to visual cues. And even when we are reading text, we all are not uh, avid readers, right? We all are not used to just reading text and imagining how it could look. So for your audience to be able to do that, examples are really, really important. It's important to say that this could look like that other thing that you already know. Then, like I just said, relatability makes understanding easier, because when you compare one thing to another thing that you already know, then it becomes easier for your audience to understand. So for example, if I'm writing about, say, uh, an electric vehicle, and somebody who does not know anything about an electric vehicle is reading the blog, so for them to visualize, I could give the most basic example, like, say, a Tesla car. Even if they don't know anything about how it works, they might know how a Tesla car looks, at least, or what Tesla is. Uh, so that visualization is very important. The reader must first have a picture in their mind of what you are talking about. It obviously adds clarity to what you're saying. You can also add industry knowledge and opinions from industry leaders, such as, say, a quote from Bill Gates, for example, which might explain what you are trying to say better. It adds credibility also. When I say industry knowledge, I mean statistics, information. You can quote papers, articles. Um, Examples also are sort of evidence, or RTB, which in advertising language means reason to believe what you are saying. Because if you're only going to give information, people might or might not believe you. You might or might not, as a brand or as a writer, have that kind of credibility. But whether you do or not, examples always tell people that these guys know their industry and they know where they're coming from. The next important part is visual aids, which are your tables, graph, pie charts, infographics. One thing that you need to remember while using these things is that they need to be from credible sources. Like Palak earlier mentioned while covering her research part, uh, just like you take information only from your BBC, CNN, CNET, TechCrunch, etc., you take your graphs, tables, pie charts also from the same sources. And always remember to give credit to these sources, right? Under your infographic should be a line that says source and then a link to the source. This adds authority to your pieces because you're not just giving advice or information in words which are subjective, but you're also backing it up with facts. Because when you say something like, this is a good product for you, versus showing that, say, these many people in the world prefer this product. So it makes a lot of difference for people to know that other people are thinking this about what I'm reading about. So yeah, just to illustrate my point that statistics are beautiful. Okay, the next part is about how to promote your product without being salesy. So this again kind of applies to all kinds of writers who are trying to sell something, whether you're a copywriter, content writer, tech, B2B, B2C, whatever. So yeah, there's a thin line there which you have to tread to sell but not sell. I mean, you have to sell but make it sound like you're not selling, but you come from good intentions. So the first thing is facts. You have to give a lot of facts and not make them sound like opinions. So you can't just say, so for example, if you're writing a mobile phone review, you can't just say this phone has a good camera. You have to mention the megapixels, the sensor, and everything that goes into the camera which makes it good. You have to give a balanced analysis. By balanced, I mean that you can also point out some things that are not great about your product, but in a very subtle way. So for example, you could say that this phone does not have this particular feature yet, something like that, or and then cover it up by saying that, but it has this other feature which other phones don't have, something like that. Then the trick that you have to play is you make them feel like it's their opinion and not yours. And how you do that is you take on competitors very subtly. So for example, if you have to say do the Android versus iOS thing, for example, so iOS is all about privacy. That is their USP, and that's the one thing they give which other systems do not promise. So if you're writing a blog in support of that, you could always say that all operating systems in the world do not promise you this level of privacy. So you are talking about Android, but not talking about Android. So you can do that. And always have a problem solution tonality. This applies to finance blogs, tech blogs, fintech blogs, all kinds of uh, uh, content that people put in the non-creative category. I think a problem solution tonality is a creative aspect to develop, according to me. So what you have to do is you first mention a problem. You say that So for example, if I'm going to mobile phones again and again because they are the most basic form of tech writing. So if say you had a mobile phone which has a selfie camera, a camera that you can turn like this and make it a selfie camera or something like that. So you could say that you could mention a problem. You can always create a problem. That's how advertising works, right? So you begin by saying that did you haven't you ever wished that you had a camera which turns like this? Now you have one. So that kind of tonality makes them feel like you understand their problems and care about them and are helping them solve the problem instead of selling your product to them.
So now, let's accept it that we can never be an expert in all the topics. And at times we will need help. And this is something to prepare you for that in advance. So next slide. So you will, sometimes you will have to work on the topics that you may not entirely understand. And some articles that you write might even need an expert input. And that's where networking helps. So ensure that you are very well connected to the people in your niche. Uh, Reach out to them whenever you need help. You can do that by joining communities and groups where you might find like-minded people from your industry, and LinkedIn is a great place to do that. Moreover, like when you're connected with the right people, they also help you stay updated with the new developments or maybe trends. So let's say, for example, I'll give you my example. So one of my favorite industries that I work on is aerospace and defense. And I have multiple people in my network who are from the industry. Even I am, I have worked in the industry for quite a while. And the people in my network regularly share updates, regarding the industry. So when such a topic comes up, I am able to understand that, with uh, uh, I am able to have a better understanding of the topic, and I know how I have to conduct my research. I already have a direction. So, but even if that's not possible, you don't know about something, you can always reach out to people from your network. And when I say seeking external help, you can take, you can have a 5-10 minute call with them. You can even take interviews sometimes. You can ask them to explain you the topic. You can get some direct industry insights, some real stories. Like personally, I have interviewed a lot of people from the aerospace industry, and they have told me some real stories, some case studies uh, that I was able to implement in my articles. Another thing you can do is, you can get your content or maybe the outline only reviewed from those experts, so that when you write, it's a good piece and it's factually correct. Next. Snehal, you will take this up?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So let's talk about editing now. So the very first basic thing is grammar check, right? We all know that Grammarly exists and there is a browser extension, and yet we don't use it. Please use it. It's the most useful thing in the world for a writer. And even if you are very, very confident about your grammar, you might go wrong somewhere, especially if you're writing long form. So please use Grammarly. If you're not using the browser extension, because I have experienced that it slows your web pages down. You can always put your content up on Grammarly later and do a good check. Secondly, work on conciseness. I think we've already talked about this a little bit, that your sentences need not be long, should not be long. Ideally, one sentence should be one line, not more than that. If required, 1.5 line. Next thing is the flow. Think about this as if you were a reader. What would you like to know first? What would you like to know next? Is there a story in what you're writing? I know this sounds like a creative blog advice, but there should be a story in a tech blog as well. You first create curiosity, then you ask questions, then you go to the basics, then you go to the finer details. That is storytelling in itself. Then you see if the information is valuable to the audience or is it just generic information. Basically, you compare your blog to the 4 blogs that you have picked stuff up from, and you see if there is something new that you are adding or not. Is everything logical and easy to understand? Very, very important for tech content, especially where you are trying to be informative and trying to inform audiences how to perform a particular action on a software or how to use a particular device. You need to really dumb it down to the level that even a 10-year-old would understand it. Eliminate repetitions. This is very important because, like Palak mentioned before, your audiences are not here for a creative treat. They are here just for information. And if you repeat things, they are going to be disappointed with your content. Each sentence must make sense. Because there can be no flowery additional sentences that have no business being in your blog. About this, there is my writing professor in college once said this thing which applies to absolutely all forms of writing, which is make each word fight for its life. Even if you think that a single word is adding no value to what you're writing, you need to get rid of it. Plagiarism, very, very important again. Dupli Checker is a free plagiarism tool. Yes, please note it down. Copyscape is something that I personally use. It is one of the best and cheapest plagiarism tools. I would suggest to not use the other free tools apart from Dupli Checker because they're not that accurate. I would personally suggest Copyscape. And I mean, plagiarism is it's a very basic thing, right? You as a writer would not want a client coming back and telling you that your blog was 20% plagiarized or that you've copied from somewhere. It's just, as a writer, it hurts. So please do your thorough checks. Even if you have not picked sentences from somewhere else, just do your thorough checks before. And have you done appropriate formatting? Whether you're submitting it in a Word document or a Google Doc or whatever format that you're writing in, ensure that little things like, say, your headlines should have title case, your section headers should be bold, your bullet points should have numbers, proper numbers. There should be a proper flow in your bullet points. The font should be consistent. Very basic things like those. And just to add to what we have said before, short, simple sentences, no negatives. As much as possible, don't. I mean, I am starting a sentence with a negative, but I am not writing a blog. So what I'm trying to say is, don't say, don't do this. You could probably say, do that instead. As much as possible, do not use negatives because it's a very psychological thing that it turns the whole mood down. Paragraph length. Ideally, in any blog, a paragraph should be 5 lines at the most, not more than that. If your paragraph is extending that, break it into 2 paragraphs or make it shorter, but make sure it does not extend that, because when you're skimming through, which people do initially all the time, and you see a large paragraph, you feel like, I don't want to read this. That's the first reaction. I mean, even you as readers would have felt this. Then always ask yourself, can this be a list? Can this be put in bullet points? Because it's always easier to read that. And put yourself in the reader's shoes as well as the brand's shoes. Because you're neither the reader nor the brand. You're someone who's writing for the brand, right? So you need to adopt the brand's tonality, and then also think about who is going to read it and speak according to them. And you all know the attention span reality. So always keep that in mind and keep it short, sweet.
Now let's come to the tools that can help you in the entire process. So now, next slide, Snehal. I have mentioned some of the best tools that you can use. I won't be going through each of them because you can just read more about them in detail. And let's save time and you guys can take a picture of these tools. Like Copyscape, Grammarly, we have already heard about them during the presentation. And the other tools like Hemingway, Razet, BuzzSumo can help you with a lot of other things. Another tool that I would like to highlight is CoSchedule. It can help you analyze your headline. So I often use it, and it will help you know that if your headline is good to go or if you can improvise it. So have you all taken a picture of this? Just give me a few yeses in the chat. Great.
Yes, Palak.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're gonna end with some heartfelt writer to writer talk. Yeah, honestly, the biggest point that I wanted to make in today's session is that you do not have to be Tony Stark to be a tech writer. Because I mean, I don't know how many of you are from advertising marketing backgrounds, but if you are, then you would know that to sell anything, you don't need to initially always know what it is already. You just need to know how to sell. And once you do that, once you have your mindset of selling, you would be motivated to go and find out more. And Palak has already covered all of it very nicely about how to research, how to understand things. And hey, there are always techie friends you could go to, right? So you don't need to be a tech nerd yourself. You go to other tech nerds and understand things from them, and then you sell tech products that your clients have. Um, I mean, to be honest, I would not call myself a tech nerd. There are a lot of tech related things which I would not understand just because I have not written a blog about this yet. So, it's a misconception that you need to understand finance entirely or tech entirely to be a finance or a fintech writer. But that's not the case. Palak, you want to add anything?
I think we are good. But yeah, I believe that before you start off any project, just make sure you do enough research. I have already told you how you can do that. Do enough research, and I hope you're good to go. And never shy away from seeking help. It's always good to seek help, talk to experts, and get things right. That's all.
Okay. I think we can open up the Q&A now.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Thanks for that, guys. I think this is by far one of the best presentations I've seen. And it was really helpful. As I said, I've always tried to understand the nitty-gritty of writing a tech blog, even the difference, as you guys explained, between technical content writing and tech blogs has been really helpful. And I hope this was as helpful as it was for me, for you, for all of our audiences as well. So just opening up the podium for anybody who wants to hop on to ask any questions or maybe write them in the chat box. I think we do have a lovely question by Kunal, which says, what all questions or areas should be kept in mind while trying to understand the audience we are writing for? Palak or Snehal, whoever would like to take that question.
So I'll go. So if you have to understand your audience, the first thing is you need to know their industry. You need to know their age group. You need to know where they are coming from. What is their objective? Like if they are coming to read your blog, why would they come there? What would be what would they be searching? And just these 3-4 questions, and you just have to answer them through your blog. Snehal, you want to add on anything?
Yeah, so I think Palak has covered the essence of it. There really isn't a huge questionnaire for this. You just need to know who your audience is in terms of what is their age, where they are coming from. In some cases, it might be important if they come from metros or tier 1 or tier 2 cities. And it helps to sort of make an imaginary persona in your head, where you can decide that, okay, this is my John Doe, and he's a college student or he's a working professional, and these are the devices that he uses. It helps to do that when you personify your audience from a statistic to an imaginary person. I think that really helps.
Great, great. I really hope that helps. And I think we have some nice questions lined up. So
Yeah.
Anil wants to know if you get stuck in the process, and if yes, how do you avoid the writer's block? I think golden question, guys.
Palak, you want to take this or I should?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Huh.
So, when this happens a lot of time, especially when you're writing blogs, opinion-based blogs, what I do is that, I just consume a lot of content. As a writer or a marketer, one thing you all have to do is consume a lot of content. It could be through social media, reading blogs, reading news. So in most cases, when you already have a background, you already know it slightly, it helps you it helps you get a direction. And that's what I mentioned in the research process, that direction is important. Another thing, that's something that I use. If like, it's optional, I use pepper type also sometimes to avoid that and get ideas. So yeah, these are the things I do. Most important is consume a lot of content.
Awesome. Okay, just for those of you who don't have reference, Pepper Type is Pepper Content's branched out AI tool that generates unique content for you. Just by feeding in a few keywords, you can get original content auto generated. So yeah, you can use that to create unique copies if you get a writer's block, a creator's block, as you call it. So awesome. I think that answers Anil's first question. He has another question. It says, how do you pace the process of writing from research to final outline? How do you manage this process in terms of timeline or tools to manage?
So
Okay.
the process, the research process depends. If you are writing, a simple blog, the research could be 30 minutes to an hour. But if you are going for a white paper or a very technical complex topic, it might even take you 2 to 3 hours or even 4 hours. So what I do is I prefer doing the research in stages. I just can't consume a lot of information at once. So coming to pacing, it depends on how fast you consume that information, get it to the outline. That is something you cannot control. It depends on person to person. Let's say if I can read a blog in 5 minutes, there could be a person who does it in 8 or 10 minutes. So this part is something you cannot control. But if you talk about the overall process of writing, the getting to the final piece, an outline, working on an outline first could actually reduce the time to half. So I have seen that improvement with myself, and even some of the friends whom I have taught how to write outlines, even they have seen a significant improvement. Another time management technique I would like to highlight is Pomodoro Technique. So you guys might have seen kitchen timers that have either 30 minutes to 60 minutes time. So when I am not very motivated and I want to I want to manage my deadlines, I just do do that timer for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and I take a goal that in the next 10 minutes I have to complete this part. So that also helps, and you can I'll just type that in the chat and you can research on that later. Yeah, I have sent that in the chat. You guys can check that.
Awesome. Really helpful. Definitely Googling this. Moving on to the next question by Sthiti. How do you optimize your blog's SEO, and does that prevent you from writing freely? Palak or Snehal, anyone of you would like that?
I think Palak, take the first question. I would just like to talk about the second part of it.
Okay. So optimizing a blog for SEO, first part is your keyword research. You can use what the tool I mostly use Keyword Planner. But in most cases, the clients give us the keywords. We can either search for more keywords or just work with that. What you do is I personally ideally aim for 1 to 2% of keyword density. So you need to segregate your keywords into two parts. First is the primary keyword, which have the highest search volumes or are the most important for your blog. Second are the secondary keywords. So primary keywords are something that should have a decent keyword density, and the secondary words, if it's a 1,000-word blog, just once or twice is good enough. Always remember that when you are optimizing the SEO, please do not stuff the keywords. If your client has given you a list of keywords, it's not always important to include every keyword. So just don't stuff those keywords and write them strategically. That's all.
Coming to, does that prevent me from writing freely? I'm not sure what writing freely here means, because I mean, I get where you're coming from, but the point that I would like to make is that if you're writing to sell, you're more of a marketer than a writer. So the concepts like freedom and creativity sort of take a backseat. This might not sound great, but it's the reality. But I do not mean to discourage you. Honestly, writing to sell has its own high. As when you're writing freely or creatively, you get creative satisfaction from it, that hey, I wrote something nice. But when you're writing to sell in a structured manner with your client's brief, speaking for the brand, speaking to a specific audience, speaking with keywords, you realize that even though there are so many restrictions put on you, when you come out with a good product at the end of it, you feel proud of yourself. You feel like you've cleared a lot of obstacles and reached here, and hey, your words are selling things. Isn't that great? That's how I would like you to look at it. Uh, Having said that, sometimes there are keywords which are very difficult to use or very difficult to put in sentences. Sometimes some clients would give you keywords that don't even make grammatical sense. At such times, I would advise you to not, just give in and compromise on the quality of the piece. Instead, get in touch with your client. Tell them that, hey, this is not grammatically correct. It is not going to help you or your brand. Tell them that this specific keyword, I cannot use this more than once or twice without making it seem like I forced it. If there are issues like those, always get in touch with your clients and discuss it with them.
Awesome. I think most of us get into this dilemma when, as writers, whether to make it SEO optimized to sell or whether to, make it sound right. So, I think that pretty much sums it up. I don't see any more questions. If there's any more questions, folks, please drop them in the chat box. You can also reach out to us. I and Kunal here are from Pepper Content. You can reach out to us by putting down the email ID in the chat box. We've had Mariam with us from ADPList, who's made this possible. So, you can. I'm just gonna tell everybody a little bit about both organizations. This has been a partnership. We've basically collaborated to get creators to talk about different topics that they're skilled in, to provide mentorship to a community of learners for free, right? You all just sign up, RSVP, and everybody should have access to mentorship. So ADPList is a platform that makes that possible. If you think you can be a mentor or you want to join as a part of the community, you can apply to adplist.org. I'm just gonna put down all the website. Okay, so that's ADP's website. Support at peppercontent.in. If you want to know more about what Pepper does, we're basically, if any one of you is passionate about writing, you can join our community of creators and create different types of content for different brands, that as Palak and Snehal also very actively do. So yes, thank you, Snehal. Thank you, Palak. You can reach out to us at the email ID, guys, if you have